Greetings, my faithful viewers and fellow advocates everywhere. Welcome to the Spectrum Show. And today I've got a special video for you because today I'm going to be doing one of my autism highlight videos. And it's been quite a long time since I've done one of those. Basically, with the autism highlight videos, I pick someone from the internet and abroad to be able to highlight into one of my videos and be able to show a clip of them being able to show how talented they are, or how very well informed they are with autism advocacy. And today I got a special treat for you because I've got two of them today that we're going to be reacting to. That's right, two people. One of them, one of them being Zackary Betz, who talks about the benefits of being on the autism spectrum. Let's play the clip.
In recent years, autism has become a much more discussed topic. More people in recent years have also begun being diagnosed with the autism spectrum disorder. Back in 2018, a study was conducted to determine approximately how many children were born with autism. The results were shocking. The CDC determined that approximately 1 in every 59 children are born with autism. The study also concluded that 1 in every 37 boys and 1 in every 151 girls are born with autism. Most people view being diagnosed with autism as a flat-out negative thing. But I want to ask you all something. What do you believe? Do you believe that autism is just a disorder that makes those born with a disorder lesser than those born without the disorder? Do any of you know anyone on the autism spectrum yourself and believe that they cannot be as successful or find happiness in their day-to-day lives as you can? I do not believe that at all. In fact, I believe that people with autism are just as capable, if not more capable, than all of you, born without autism, at being successful and happy in their day-to-day lives. This photo is one of my reasons as to why. I want to ask you all a question, and please do not be afraid to respond. What do most of you see in this photo at first when it popped up? Most of you probably saw the horse, because it is the bigger picture. But people with autism might not actually notice the horse at first. Instead, people with autism might notice some of the more smaller details of the photo that those born without autism might not notice at first, such as the sky or that little log over there to the right. People with autism might not always see the bigger picture at first, but does that change the picture in any way? No. The person with autism just so happened to notice some of the more smaller details of a photo that those born without autism might not have noticed at first. I want to ask you all another question. Who here knows these two men? What about these men do you know? These two men are Albert Einstein and Sir Isaac Newton, two world-famous geniuses who were both said to have a form of autism known as Asperger's syndrome. This disorder affected both Newton and especially Einstein in their day-to-day lives, to the point where Albert Einstein had dropped out of high school at age 15. And yet, despite all these difficulties in social connections, one of the biggest symptoms of Asperger's syndrome and most other forms of autism, both Einstein and Sir Newton were still able to be successful and happy in their day-to-day lives, to the point of gaining world fame. Einstein had a brain that worked differently than others. Because of this difference in how his brain worked, Einstein was able to see problems in a whole new perspective and light that those before him could not. Maybe people with autism do not have life harder than others. Maybe people with autism just have different struggles than most. I like to think of it like math class. Some people struggle with math to the point of needing extra help, while others excel at math without needing any extra help at all. And yet, whether or not you're the kid who struggles the most with math, or the kid who succeeds the most in that class, everybody still manages to make it through the exact same class together, successful and happy. Maybe people with autism do not have life harder than others. In fact, maybe it's just that people with autism have different challenges than others. People with autism even have a few advantages when it comes to those born without autism. These advantages include, but are not limited to, attention to detail, passion in their work, the ability to live in the now, and the ability to teach others about autism. In fact, Forbes.com on May 31st, 2018, published an article with Karen Higginbottom talking about why people with autism make good employees because of, quote, their passion in their work and their attention to detail. This all leads me back to one big thing. Maybe people with autism do not have life harder than others. Maybe people with autism just have different challenges than others. Maybe people with autism are capable of opening up whole new doors in this world that have yet to be opened. Maybe people with autism are capable of so much more than what we already take them for granted for, because everyone, big or small, can all make it through the journey of life together, successful and happy. As someone who has autism themselves, I could say that my life is going pretty good right now. Thank you.
What a wonderful presentation by Mr. Zackary Betz. And I have to wholeheartedly agree. Just because someone with autism doesn't always see things through a certain perspective like a lot of people do, it doesn't mean that they aren't going to end up being successful in one way or another. After all, people with autism, while there are some people who excel or struggle with certain areas, people with autism tend to really excel and really push the envelope when it comes to how they perform. And the two legendary men he brought up, Albert Einstein and Sir Isaac Newton, are prime examples of people with autism who can really do incredible things if they put their minds to it. Especially considering the fact that they're two of the greatest minds in world history. Sorry, had a bit of some phlegm. But basically, the biggest obstacle when it comes to making sure that people with autism find success is not in the fact that they struggle with certain things. It's the fact that there are certain challenges that people with autism have that other people don't. That needs to be worked around. That needs to be discussed with that person with autism to make sure they get the support they need to work around that challenge so that they can end up being a great success. Me, for example, thanks to a lot of the early intervention stuff that I went through and a lot of the OT and speech therapy that I've went through throughout my education, and thanks to being on IEPs a whole lot, it really helped in being able to play a part in how I developed through my autism, and I couldn't be happier with the results. And not to mention my passion for being able to make people happy and integrating that into my small business is really a big step forward in being able to show people, hey, just because someone is on the autism spectrum doesn't mean they can't accomplish something great. And that's what I plan to do with my small business, to be able to do something great with not just my own life financially, but also be able to make a stronger community as a whole, and to help people in the autism community and to help people in general. But before I ramble on too much, I did promise that we're going to be watching two people today. So without further ado, here is Jeffrey Ford in about how he himself believes that differences are what makes us special. Let's roll the clip.
My name is Jeffrey Allen Ford. I'm autistic, and I'm a genius. I belong to 14 different high IQ societies, including Mensa, and I'm listed in the World Genius Directory, which is the who's who of the high IQ world. Every year, the World Genius Directory holds a global election to determine who will be the following year's Genius of the Year for Asia, Europe, and America, which includes both the North and South American continents. I'm very proud to be able to tell you that just several weeks ago, I was honored in the Michigan House of Representatives, receiving a special tribute for becoming the World Genius Directory's 2016 Genius of the Year for America. Which proves once again that there are people on the autism spectrum who can accomplish absolutely anything. The form of autism I have is called Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's is the same form of autism that psychological experts now believe that Albert Einstein, Michelangelo, Mozart, and Charles Darwin had. And like many people who are autistic, my eyes are highly photosensitive. I am more socially awkward than I would like any of you to know. And large crowds, forget about it. So if I appear like I might be nervous tonight, it's for a very good reason. I am. But it's like what John Wayne said. John Wayne said that courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway. And I have to tell you, I'm very happy that I saddled up to come to speak with you here tonight. Autism is not the only neurological condition that I possess. I also have another very rare neurological condition called Mobius syndrome. Mobius syndrome is an impairment of the 6th and 7th cranial nerves, which affects your vision and can cause varying degrees of facial paralysis. The way that this has manifested in my life is that as an adult, I am completely unable to drive a car. Believe me, nobody wants to see me out on the road. No, nobody wants that. And as a young child, I had a speech impediment that was so severe that I had to speak one syllable at a time until about the 4th grade. Another interesting fact about Mobius syndrome is that approximately 30% of people with Mobius also have an autism spectrum disorder. And I have to tell you, I'm very, very proud to be part of that 30%. When I was a young child, I was teased, I was bullied, I was made fun of, and most of all, to be honest, I was shunned. I used to absolutely hate how different I was from everybody else. But now, I truly love it. I absolutely love it. Because I've used my differences to become a published author who's been read by millions of people all around the world. And the number one thing that I've learned is that my story isn't unique. My story is your story too, because it's our differences that make every single one of us special. Think about it for a moment. Who has ever fallen madly, passionately in love with someone because their lover reminded them of everybody else they ever met? Nobody, that's who. You only fall in love with someone if you only fall in love with someone if they touch you in a magical way that captures your heart. Now think about this. Who's ever risen to the pinnacle of their profession by thinking and doing things exactly like everybody else? Again, the answer is nobody. You have to dare to be different if you're ever going to dare to be great. And one thing I'd like to caution you all about, nobody should ever feel that you have to be a genius or that you have to wait until you're absolutely perfect at something before you start to make a difference in the world. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be perfectly you. But even that's not enough, because we also need to be able to accept, embrace, and to respect other people's differences as well. We can learn and gain so much from everybody we meet, no matter how unique they or their culture might first appear to us. And remember, just as your differences make you special, their differences make them pretty special too. Most importantly, there's a time in human history where we're going to have to take our differences and set them all aside so that we can come together, work side by side, hand in hand, to make sure that everyone is able to live in peace, eat nutritious foods, have access to clean, pure drinking water, be able to have an affordable higher education, and the best quality of health care possible. Because it will be then, and only then, that the human race will finally become fully human. Thank you.
That was a great speech by Mr. Jeffrey Ford, and it really touched me in a way. As he put it, it touched my heart, and it changed it in a very positive way. I might be paraphrasing on that, but still, he really hammered it home with how, despite the challenges he went through with him being part of the autism spectrum and having Mobius syndrome, he definitely showed a lot of great characteristics, and he showed so much bravery, being able to get up in front of a crowd of people and being able to share his story, which I can definitely tell he was a bit nervous to be able to go through with it, but as they say, courage is being able to face is the strength to be able to face your fears despite being scared to death. And he pretty much said this too. And like with Zackary Betz, he also mentioned some really famous names that also is affected by autism. Some of them being Albert Einstein, some of them being Mozart, some of them being Michelangelo. Oh, and I believe he also, well, just to name a few that he mentioned, it really goes to show how a lot of those famous people, even though you could argue that it's mainly speculation that those very famous people are on the autism spectrum, it doesn't change the fact that so many people on the autism spectrum adopt these traits that these famous people have, that it would end up one day being able to write this blueprint for people on the autism spectrum to find success. And that's the real big thing to focus on, that a lot of people on the autism spectrum, they have the recipe for success in front of them. A lot of people just need to understand that and be able to support them with this blueprint, instead of being able to just push this blueprint aside and coming up with a new one for them just because they believe that this is what they think is best for them. I also was a victim of this, being how during my short time in Civitas Media, when I had some support here and there, one of my support people said that I should really go into IT since I'm really good at computers. But nah, I'm actually not that good with computers. I don't really know how to put in codes and stuff, or being able to figure out which software is best for which type of computer system. I'm just mainly good with design software, with certain types of design software, especially considering how I was formally trained with how to use design software. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm good with technology or that I'm Albert Einstein when it comes to technology. But I'm really glad to be able to highlight these two incredible people and being able to show that there's more to autism than a lot of people seem to believe about, especially that worm-brained idiot RFK Jr. And I will really just hammer it home with how little he knows about the autism spectrum, and just how a lot of great things that people with autism spectrum can do that really contradicts with the message that he says. And as an advocate, I will always stand for people with autism and show just how great they are. And what these two men have shown in their TED Talk is proof of how great people with autism can really be. But anyways, that's all I have for this video. My name's Greg Miller, and I will see you next time.
And now for our bloopers. Why are you sitting over there?
What a great presentation by Mr. Betz himself. And yeah, I have to wholeheartedly agree with him. The fact that a lot of these negative stigmas have really have people Hello, my faithful viewers, and welcome to another Great. Botched another one. You'd think that with me doing this for like 7 or 8 years that I would actually be able to be professional, but nope.